Hello, everyone. Welcome back and welcome to Insight Sports. This is Johanna-Rosalye along with co-host PLR. How are you tonight?
What's going down? You tell me.
You tell me. You're the big man. You're the boss. Know it all sports.
I'm lucky that I haven't been fired yet. You got to be kidding. It's your world.
Oh, come on. You would never be fired. I would never get rid of you. Why would I?
All right. I'll roll with it.
Okay.
I'll roll with it.
I'm going to pick your brain about a couple of things tonight. So I'm going to start off with the NBA draft. You were part of that emotion and want to hear your take on it, what you saw, what happened, what went down, and what we can expect for the season.
Well, let's start with the hometown Suns. I'll tell you what. Let's do this. I'll start general. The draft was really good. I think a lot of teams got a lot of pieces they needed. I love the Mo Bamba going to Orlando with 5. I love the fact that even though they didn't care, they had Sasha Vujacic. They saw a talent. They drafted talent. Absolutely love that. I love the fact that I'm not the biggest Luka Doncic guy, but I like the fact that Dallas saw what they wanted. They made a move. They went up. They got him. They not only gave up a first round. They not only drafted him in the first round, but they gave up a future first round pick to get him. Atlanta, they did a smart thing as well. And no one that's a casual fan could probably even name one Atlanta Hawk. So they got Trae Young from Oklahoma, who is a name, and people forget basketball isn't just about winning, it's about butts and seats. So they were able to move. They swapped the 3rd and the 5th with Dallas. They took Trae Young. Hopefully he'll provide some excitement to them. And then at number 2, the Sacramento Kings were able to make a splash and get Bagley the 3rd out of Duke. And we'll culminate all this with the Suns had a masterful draft, and they took DeAndre Ayton with the number 1 overall pick, who is a surefire can't miss. There's a lot of people in Phoenix that wanted them to draft Luka Doncic, which I thought would have just been the stupidest thing in the world. Not because Doncic can't play, it's because you have a guy for the first time in a long time who's a number 1 overall draft pick come out and say, I love Phoenix. I live in Phoenix. I went to college down the street, just south of Phoenix. I want to be in Phoenix. I want to play in Phoenix. I want Devin Booker and I to be Shaq and Kobe 2.0. Everything about this city is great. My mom lives here. I want to be here. You do not pass on him. It was just a no-brainer. And the Suns knocked it out the park with him. And then at 16, they drafted Zaire Smith and promptly moved him, who was actually a good player, but the Suns don't need another 6'4" athletic guy right now. They moved him to Philadelphia in exchange for Mikal Bridges, a small forward out of Villanova, who honestly, this is a lot of pressure I'm about to put on this kid. I think he's going to be Scottie Pippen with a better shot. That's how highly I regard Mikal Bridges. And then in the second round, they got a young point guard out of France, Eli Okobo. And I know who they got with their last pick. It's a kid from Colorado, but right now his name is escaping me. But overall, I hate giving grades on draft picks because they haven't done anything. But if you were in the grade-giving business, the Suns would definitely get an A+ on draft night.
Wow, that's a major grade. This was one of the most historic NBA drafts for the Suns with what they've gone through over not only the last season but the last few seasons, you can say, and the struggles they faced and new coach, pretty much rebuilding a team, you can say, for some time. And now with the number 1 pick and with the changes that you see that are going to be coming in the future. Where do you think this is taking the Suns for not only this coming up season, but maybe even the next couple of seasons as they're building to what they used to be and what we remember seeing with Nash and Marion and all those players?
Well, I'm gonna go back a little bit further than that here. Igor Kokoskov, their head coach, who a lot of people don't remember, was an assistant during those days of Nash and Stoudemire and Marion and all that. And I know everyone talks about the prominence they got to with those guys on the team. But to be honest with you, I think people would like that. But this is a team the Suns are building with the cornerstones they have now to more compete with the KJ, Barkley, Chambers type team. And I say that because as great as Steve Nash was, as great as Amari was, what D'Antoni did down here, what Gentry did down here, the best they ever got, the closest they ever got was to Game 6 in the Western Conference Finals under Gentry against the Lakers, who eventually put them out. But when you have a Devin Booker who's 23, who you can re-sign next year for a boatload of money, you have DeAndre Ayton, who's all of 19, and he's going to be under contract for the next 4 years. You have Mikal Bridges next 4 years, Josh Jackson next 3 to 4 years, and your nucleus is young. You are experienced and an experienced veteran away from getting in the playoffs. What I don't want is Phoenix Suns fans to think, wow, now this is who we have, we're going to the playoffs next year. Because I remind people every year that for a team to go into the playoffs, a team that's in the playoffs have to get worse and come out of the playoffs. And the Western Conference is tough. And so now you got to say, okay, well, who's going to drop out? And then you look up and you have Denver, who missed the playoffs by 1 game last year. Literally by 1 game. They lost the last game of the year to Minnesota, which put Minnesota in. So technically you could say there's not 8 teams in front of you. There are 9 teams in front of you. You know Memphis is going to get a little better just by their point guard and their center coming back from injury. They're not going to be the G League laughingstock they were last year. The Lakers have the same roster as you almost in terms of youth and experience, because and in some ways they may be a step ahead of you with youth and experience, depending on who joins that team. So you got to figure the Suns are going to land around 11 and 12. Do I think Dallas will make a big jump? No. Do I think Sacramento will make a big jump? No. But it's the right stepping stone. The Suns are going in the right direction to bring that mystique back. And the one thing you said was historic, and think about it, Joanna, this team has been around for 50 years. They're going into their 51st season. They've had 50 NBA drafts. They've never had the number 1 overall pick, ever. So this is the first time they've ever had that. Never. And they knocked it out of the park with DeAndre Ayton. And I keep saying that, and I know obviously he hasn't played 1 minute of 1 second of one real game, but I just don't see how he misses.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see how the Suns make out of this. And like you're saying, you're not going to be making the playoffs, right away, and it's going to take some time. But I'm excited to see with the young team that they do have, because they do have that potential, and they are putting it together. So I'm excited to see what comes out of it. And I, like you mentioned, not taking it as back as Barkley and, Chambers and those players. I remember being a little girl and watching them play, and oh my goodness, that was a whole other era and that whole other excitement. And if the Suns can bring back, go back to or bringing that into the team, that would be amazing. But yes, it's going to take some time. And
yes,
like you mentioned, Lakers are also part of their rival team is also facing a little bit of that. And that's another team I'm looking to see what moves they're going to make and what's going to happen. So we have quite a bit to go to find that out, and which poses, the question that I want to make is, what do you see with the Lakers? And I'm going to touch on something a little later, but there's been rumors that, whether they're true, whether they're not, possibilities or wishfulness of some, LeBron being a possibility. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot that's going on with the Lakers right now. The Lakers have some really good young players, and Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, and other guys in there that can play a little bit. Kyle Kuzma, who was a breakout star last year for them, and they still have Julius Randle, who they can offer a boatload of money to. And they're kind of when I say they're in the Suns' position and that they have a lot of young talent right now, they don't have that veteran star, and no one has really turned into that veteran star just yet. Kawhi Leonard has come out and said he wants to be traded to L.A. I think it's let me rephrase that. Kawhi's people have said Kawhi wants to be traded to L.A. We haven't heard that come out of Kawhi's mouth exactly yet, but when you look at the picture, he hasn't said there's two teams in L.A. He hasn't specifically said the Lakers. He hasn't specifically said the Clippers. The Lakers want LeBron. The Lakers have wanted Paul George. They wanted Paul George last year, but they gambled and said, hey, we're not going to give up a lot of assets to get a guy that's going to be on the free agent market next year. And they didn't do that. And now we don't know if Paul George is going to re-up with Russell Westbrook and Oklahoma City Thunder, because it seems like him and Westbrook have formed an incredible friendship and admiration for each other and admiration for each other's game. In fact, I know for a fact that Russell Westbrook is doing some type of fishing expedition in August, and Paul George is slated to be on that fishing expedition deal that's going on. And I don't know if it would be weird to me. They may be friends or maybe get along or do all this stuff, but it would seem odd to me that he's scheduled to be on a fishing expedition in August if he's planning on signing with the Lakers now. Just doesn't seem right. LeBron hasn't said one way or the other. He never does. A lot of people say, and I'll listen to Brian Windhorst on this one, we'll know what LeBron's going to do by next week. Magic, I don't know if you want me to get it. Do you want me to say the Magic thing, or we got to hold off on that?
Let's go ahead and say the Magic thing.
All right. The Magic thing, Magic Johnson is negotiating in public by saying if he doesn't bring in a big-name free agent by next year, he'll quit. He'll step down. He's not doing his job if that's the case. All this is posturing, because let me just draw out the Laker picture for you right now. Let's say the Lakers don't get LeBron this year. Say he opts into his contract. Say they don't get Paul George right now and he opts into the 1 year 1+1 contract. And let's say they don't make a trade for Kawhi Leonard and Kawhi stays in San Antonio. All three of them are free agents again next year. So it's not like, and next year, there are a ton of free agents that come up. Kevin Durant will probably come up again next year. And a lot, I mean, there's just the free agent class this year is good. The free agent class next year is even better. And we know the Lakers are going to make a splash 1 year or the other. And I think by Magic saying that, he just bought himself time to make a splash either this year or next year. I mean, what's the worst that could happen to the Lakers, and what's the best that could happen for the Lakers? The best that could happen for the Lakers is they sign Kawhi, Paul George, and LeBron James. And they put together their version of a super team, which I think is the dumbest name for a team ever. But they put together a team to compete with Houston and Golden State, which I still don't think would beat Houston or Golden State. And so then they're a year away, and they still have to make moves, right? That's the best. What's the worst case scenario? You play Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram. You bring back Julius Randle, or maybe you don't bring back Julius Randle to keep your books clear, and they get 1 year better and 1 year more experience in the NBA game for when you go out and you get these other guys. So to me, there's no losing for the Lakers right now. And I think
I asked a question on